The basis of the restructuring of all education is to tie it into physical action much more than it is. Instead of sitting at a desk with a piece of paper in front of him writing 1 + 1 = 2, the child needs to stand up and have one child meet the other in the middle of the room and see with his eyes and experience with his body the fact that 1 + 1 = 2. This concept needs to be applied to everything that a child learns. It can work two ways. When a child is doing something that is his instinct, he needs to tie this into his brain cells or anchor it in some way. When he is learning something new, he needs to experience it with his body. There is such a correlation between the thinking process and the physical body that it would blow your mind if you could just realize it. Let me continue my attempt to lay the basis of understanding for you. When a soul chooses to re-enter the manifested plane of existence, the earth plane, for another try at attempting to progress the human being as a spiritual being, it chooses to bring back certain knowledge with it to help it in its new life and in forming yet another new personality. It also brings back certain lessons it needs to learn, attitudes it needs to erase in order to make any progress. If the connection to your inner being is never made, then you never have an opportunity to take advantage of all your soul worked so hard to learn in its other lives. All the progress made by your soul is wasted as far as helping in this present life. It is like starting each life with a clean slate. It would be as though each year when a child enters school, his memory bank is wiped clean of all he learned the previous year, and he is practically starting over again each new term of school. No wonder humanity's progress has not kept pace with other events in the universe. There can be no growth when starting with a clean slate each time, whether it is a new life or a new class in school. There are two new concepts that need understood. The first new concept is a continuation of the development of the brain, which will be achieved by stretching the brain, and the second new concept, the importance of thought, will be achieved by a new course called body thought, the tie-in between thought processes and the physical body. The second new concept, the tie-in between thought processes and the physical body, will be accomplished by the use of body thought. This will become a field of research and teaching all its own and needs to have classroom work designed that will bring about the coordination needed to promote body thought, which will promote inner guidance, which will promote spirituality and enlightenment and genius. All humanity must keep moving forward, and as they do, certain teachings of the schools need to be left behind as others are added. A new way of thinking about the human makeup is that the emotional body is a more highly sensitized development of the physical body, and the spiritual body is a more highly sensitized aspect of the mental body. This is where we must begin to give guidelines for teaching body thought to children. The first guideline needed is that which came before is incorporated into the new. In the beginning, the physical form operated solely on instinct, which was ingrained into the physical body by repeated actions. For any new tying together of thought and action to become transmuted to and ingrained as intuition instead of instinct, it must have the same process, that of repeated actions. The second guideline is that for the old to be incorporated into the new, it must pass through a filtering system. When transmuting instinct to intuition, a filtering system is needed to filter out instinctual reactions which no longer serve the evolved human. This filtering system is a combination of environmental and evolutionary processes. The beginning of body thought should be started at the place where all are at now. The tying in of brain thought with what is going on in the physical body will exercise the brain tissue and allow more and more to be transferred to instinct that will be brought back in the next lifetime. Then, if the new education of the babe is being done, it will be able to be retrieved earlier, and there will be time and room in the brain to learn much more in the new life. With this happening every lifetime, you can readily see that eventually humans can be taught to use 100% of their brain. The first 2 years of life are spent tying together the mind and body. The beginning of teaching body thought needs to be begun from day one of the child's life. As a wee baby, it is difficult to accomplish, but can be done with the parents and siblings talking the baby through his nursing or his diaper changing process. As the baby is put to the breast and nursed, the mother needs to talk positively about the taste of the milk and what it is doing for the baby's body, that it is the taste of life, that it sustains life in the physical form. All of this talk is registering on the brain of the infant in a positive manner and is laying the first layer of the brain for education. It must be positive and logical. At this time, the parent needs to start reading stories or explaining math problems or teaching musical concepts or anything that will help the child later. You see, all that goes into the brain in this stage can be retrieved very easily when the child starts formal education. The consciousness of the parents is of the greatest importance in supporting and guiding the baby's development. The first 6 months are the most important, so instead of letting that child lay in the crib or sleep too much, it needs to be stimulated with material that it will be learning in kindergarten and first grade. Then, when the child passes a 6-month birthday, the information should be geared towards second grade for the rest of the first year of his life. Third grade material for the second year, fourth grade for the third year, and fifth grade material for the fourth year. At this time, the child will be finished with the halls of training and will enter kindergarten in the halls of learning. The material stored in the education layer of the brain for the first 6 months needs to be retrieved at this time, and you will find the child a whiz at most of it. After all, you will just be reviewing and bringing out into the light what is stored in the dark compartments of the brain. Then the child is ready to move on to the material stored during the rest of the first year, and so on. As each year of the child's education passes, the foundation will be there much faster, stronger, and more secure than it could ever be taught to them starting at age 6. This is why, in the future, children will be ready for trigonometry in the fourth grade. They will enter school much more advanced than those now. This will take much experimentation and several years to prove that all this will work. The halls of training are for birth through pre-K with a focus on the physical body accomplished by the new concept of body thought. These new schools will be based on the 7 virtues, which are truth, kindness, love, freedom, compassion, diplomacy, and impersonality. The teachers in these schools must be well versed in these 7 virtues. The soul must apply the 7 virtues to its own personality in order for the personality to be able to live the 7 virtues. It's like the soul has to interpret the 7 virtues for the personality, as if they were in a foreign language, so to speak. They must be taught from birth on, as a foreign language should be, to be synthesized by the personality and used with ease. They must become second nature to the personality. The only way to accomplish this is starting with the babe. The first stage that should develop, hopefully, as a young child, approximately 2 years old, is that of having a conscience. Until this conscience is developed to the point of not only knowing right from wrong, but also to the point of involving the emotions, there cannot be any further growth of the soul. The time when the first temper tantrums start, approximately age 2, is the actual beginning of the emotional body. Up until this time, it cannot be accessed. Most temper tantrums are the result of fear on the child's part, due to strong emotions overtaking his mind and his not understanding them and therefore not knowing how to deal with them. One of the first strong emotions to show up is jealousy, perhaps over a newborn sibling, or a new stepfather or stepmother, or perhaps even a pet. Regardless, jealousy is usually the first sign of the emotional body. Even animals can display jealousy. It is part of the animal-based brain that is growing and expanding at this time. In the halls of training, they will have games that will employ the teaching of right attitudes by using comparisons to familiar things. They learn to dance and are introduced by very special games to new foods, always in an atmosphere of soft music and corresponding soft colors. There is very little crying or frustration. As a matter of fact, the tantrums and behavior of a child in the terrible twos would be considerably different if the child could express, or is allowed to express, his dreams and not be hushed up and ridiculed or considered unimportant. Everything a child feels at this point should be allowed expression and given consideration as important aspects of what is going to make up his personality and what his life pursuit is going to be about. All must be encouraged to express feelings at all times. The use of the creative channel is the ultimate goal of all schooling. The most successful way of opening this creative channel in everyone will be by actual hands-on creative expression every day of their life. beginning at the youngest age possible. This is the goal and ultimate purpose of the halls of training, is to begin the process of paving the way to the opening of this creative channel. The channel will begin to open with the transmuting of instincts to intuition. The intuition is that part of one that is a composite of all acquired knowledge from the beginning of time. The more incarnations one has had, the stronger the intuition. It is not the same as instinct, because instinct is a function of our lower nature. Intuition is of the higher nature. Some children's intuition is already quite strong. Adults don't realize this and try to dominate their children's lives with their own interpretations and opinions, when quite often they should let the child express his feelings. Reaching contact with their inner being will help a child be able to use their intuition. This, along with being able to express their feelings, would be a big help with children's present-day attitudes. Also, more appeal should be made to the child's conscience. After all, this is where it has to start, with the strengthening of the conscience in each one. This is the ultimate goal of life, you know, the building of a conscience. Yeah. Music, especially piano for children, is one of the best avenues of expression that they can have. But above and beyond that are the effects it has on the physical body. The vibrations set up by the musical tones of the piano or violin or other acoustical instruments will serve to separate the membranes between the layers in the brain. This will aid the opening of the creative channel, which will speed up the thinking processes and also the ability to focus and concentrate for longer periods of time. All this, in turn, will make them much sharper at their other studies. There are so many scientific benefits that are going on in the body, all stemming from the practice of music, that it would take a master technician to keep up with everything that was going on in all parts of the body while this daily practice takes place. The eye-hand-brain coordination that is achieved can be achieved in no other way. The coordination is set in concrete, so to speak, because of the musical vibrations that are sounded and drawn in through the ears into the nerve receptors that control the brain. This is a very technical function, but actually serves as a dose of medicine. Musical notation should be considered another form of language. Who can forget the alphabet? The reading of notes needs to be started at the same time as the alphabet and established firmly in a child's mind exactly the same way. Another way of stretching their minds with music is by relating rhythm to items in the universe. This will be very helpful also in expanding their thinking. The rhythm of music needs to be taught in relationship to astronomy. A whole note thought of by these children as the immense universe opens their minds immediately. Then you bring it down with the different divisions of rhythm to their own body. With feet firm on the ground, planted solid, they can march right out into the universe. The halls of learning are for kindergarten through 6th grade with the focus on the emotional body accomplished by the new concept called blended thought. In the halls of learning, starting with kindergarten, the child would be made to understand about their 4 different bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and that the mental body itself is made up of 3 different parts. The concept of having 4 different bodies will not be so difficult to understand if presented right by the use of drawings or paper cutouts. The 1st grade would continue the idea, perhaps embellish the duties of each body, the physical, the emotional, and the mental, not elaborately, but in a down-to-earth way. The physical body's job is to be a form to house the inner being, or soul, that is within each person. It is to stay in the best possible physical health. The emotional body is that through which they feel happiness and sadness. Its job is to express these feelings to others. It is a release valve for the physical body. A drawing could be done showing this. The 2nd grade would learn that the mental body is a computer center where the messages are sent to the other 2. 3rd graders will step forward one more step. And in the 4th grade, the mental body is split into 3 sections. The 3 sections are the student's own mind, his past incarnations, and the universal mind. Focus on the physical body will start with the student's studies in health and kindergarten classes with very simple studies of the food families and their nutritional values, plus easy exercises. 1st grade will study the benefits that different vitamins and minerals give and what foods give these vitamins and minerals. 2nd grade begins body structure and exercises ongoing. The 3rd grade studies muscles, ligaments, and bones. 4th grade internal organs. 5th grade the mind. And sixth, an overall model of the whole body. Science will be divided into two sections: Earth science, dealing with the planet itself, and the science of the universe, dealing with the whole universe. The classes in history and geography will be more closely tied together into one subject to be introduced in the kindergarten, starting with the child's own city. First grade will be his own state, second grade his whole country in sections, and the third, fourth, and fifth would then break all down into 3 time periods: Lemurian, Atlantean, and Piscean ages. The sixth grade would be a review and a final project. In the third grade, the Golden Rule class, philosophy, is a function of the universal mind with help and support from the present and past lives. In the fourth grade, the philosophy class of cause and effect is introduced. The philosophy class of the fifth grade will deal with attitudes. The sixth grade will focus on the awareness that thoughts are things. Mind is the builder.